Welcome viewers. This is Media Track, the media news analysis channel that looks at the stories of the past week. We try to analyze them to the best of our ability, of course. This is episode 42 and I am Devika Sequeira, and with me is
Ashley Rosario.
Well, Ashley is a senior journalist. He works on the ground. He works with the Goan newspaper. So, you know, his analysis is really sort of in depth, and he has the latest of what is really happening. Now, we try to look at stories that are happening mostly in Goa, because a lot of people feel that, you know, we can add to whatever stories they see in the local newspapers. But we also like to sort of sometimes take a little overview and give you a little background. And so I'd like to actually start with the figures, the rising figures in India. And you know, in the past day, we've had the daily count which touched nearly 10,000 new cases. That was 9,651 as of Wednesday of this week, and that was the third highest in the world. Of course, the US was the first, and Brazil reported 27,300 odd fresh cases. And India came third. Russia was a close fourth. Now, you know, within the country, to give you a little bit of perspective, Maharashtra has the highest number of cases. It's nearly 75,000, and it's not Delhi now, but Tamil Nadu, that is touched nearly 26,000, and Delhi is at nearly 24,000. And then, you know, you have Gujarat, which is inching towards 20,000. On Wednesday, it was 18,000 odd, and the other states are West Bengal 6,500, Bihar 4,000. But to come back to Goa, which you know, had a sort of a green zone tone to it, and it had been virtually designated a safe zone by the Goa government. We've seen a massive spurt, and the spurt has come from Vasco mostly, and so the thing started showing up on what was the day, Ashley? Actually, when
Tuesday.
Tuesday. So on Tuesday it was that more than 40 cases turned up at you know, Mangor Hill in Vasco. And by Thursday evening, Goa had crossed 106 cases, and I would think that we are probably inching towards 150 as of Friday of this week.
Yeah.
So what caused this huge spurt in cases, Ashley?
Devika, basically, it from what we know, from what has come out in the public, it started off with the family of a fish trader in Vasco.
Okay.
Apparently, you know, all 6 members of that family experienced COVID-like symptoms, and they went to their family doctor, who gave them some treatment for a common cold or flu, which I think was the problem. You know, they came back 2 days later, and then they were referred to the GMC and they were tested positive. So obviously during that period that they were carriers, asymptomatic carriers, they did interact with a lot of people in their neighborhood. They did interact with a lot of people in Vasco, and that is what has caused this huge transmission at the local level.
Okay, so Mangor Hill, is it a very sort of clustered unit, neighborhood?
It's a mix actually. There are quite a few you know, apartment buildings there also.
Okay.
It's a developing place up in Vasco. It's on a hill.
Yeah.
And it has been developing for almost 2-3 decades now.
Okay.
And there are a lot of cluster of houses as well.
Yeah.
Fortunately, it's a bit cut off from the town.
Okay.
You know, it's up on the hill, and it's a bit cut off from the town, so that massive scale of transmission in the whole of the port town has not happened. At least as of today, we don't know that it has happened.
Okay. So from Mangur Hill itself, we have, I think, over 60 cases.
82 cases.
82 cases.
As of yesterday,
Okay,
82 cases.
so all these 82 people, and are they now in
Yeah,
government
they are in-
facilities, in hospitals? What
They
exactly
are at,
is the
they are at the
situation?
COVID hospital in Margao.
Okay.
That's the SOP as of now. If you test positive, you are straight
Okay.
away put into the COVID.
Okay,
this thing.
so this 106 cases, which I believe could obviously touch 150 by
Yeah.
today, it's obviously straining the whole health system which they've put in place, where we have only 200 beds,
Beds, yeah.
ICU beds.
Yeah.
That's
They are not
no,
ICU
not
beds.
even ICU.
Not even ICU beds.
Okay,
They are
so
normal beds.
normal beds
Yeah,
for
which do have a facility for oxygen supply as and when is
Okay,
required.
okay.
Because that is the main problem for COVID patients.
Yeah.
Is suddenly you are required to be given oxygen.
Yeah,
That's when
yeah.
you face that breathing problems.
Yeah.
So there are 220, according to Neela Mohan, the health secretary, yesterday she said there are 220 beds,
Yeah.
and work is continuously going on to increase the number of beds, which I think they will have to do.
Yeah. So I was talking to the health minister Vishwajit Rane the other day, and he told me that he has a very good backup plan, and that he's requisitioned quite a few private hospitals. One of them is in South Goa. They have a 200 bed capacity, which he's already said that will be used in case the government needs. And I believe he has also requisitioned other hospitals. So obviously the private sector is now going to have to move in and play its role in this health crisis in Goa. So how do you see that playing out?
I'm surprised that the private sector has not been taken on board as yet.
Yes.
By the state government.
Yes, let me tell you one thing, Ashley. One of them actually went to court to try and get out of this commitment, which I think is rather, I wouldn't use the word unsporting, but this is a crisis. Everyone has to step in, and for them to actually go to court and say that, we don't want to allow our hospital to be used for COVID patients, etc.
Especially because they have already invoked the Epidemic Act.
Yes,
so
that's
when the
true.
Epidemic Act is invoked, I don't think the private hospitals have any scope to run away from
Exactly.
whenever they are
And
required.
there was also this article I saw by Dr. Oscar, and he talked about other people apart from epidemiologists and people who deal specifically with chest infections being involved. He said that other doctors should also be in the COVID fight.
I think
they
so.
should be brought on board.
I've been arguing this with Dr. Oscar from day one of this pandemic, and a lot of doctors in the private sector who are private practitioners individually, not even attached to hospitals.
Yes, that's right.
Were complaining, particularly from the IMA, were complaining that they have been completely blocked from getting involved in the fight against COVID by the establishment.
That is, this is in Goa or
in Goa
itself,
in Goa,
because
which is not the case elsewhere in the country. It's not the case elsewhere in the country. I think governments all over India have happily accepted support from the private sector to
so in Goa, who is actually taking these decisions? Is it the health minister Rane? Is it the chief minister? Are the bureaucrats involved? Or I've also been told that there is a lady doctor who is heading this whole unit, and her sort of say really carries weight the most.
The problem is it's very hazy. The hierarchy of the health ministry of this whole COVID fight is very hazy. For example, there is no structure in place at all. Like the dean, the Goa Medical College has a dean. The health department has a director. I don't see either of them anywhere in the thick of action. Okay, number one. Number two, when this pandemic started, and I mean this lockdown started on the 25th, and governments and people in power and authority began to feel the economic impact of this whole thing,
Yeah.
they immediately put in place a committee for revival of the economy and all
Absolutely.
this stuff. But I
Absolutely.
don't see any committee or task force to tackle the medical part of the
Exactly.
pandemic.
Absolutely.
I from the day this thing has started, now it's almost 3 months.
Yeah.
We have a state medical board.
Yeah.
It hasn't officially met.
Yeah.
I just can't figure out
Now,
this.
the other thing I wanted to talk about, Ashley, is the government, is sort of trying to fob off the fact that this thing has really spread within the community, and they're using words like local spread. At least the Chief Minister has repeated it several times. The Health Secretary, I heard her repeating it several times. I just listened in to her press conference. And I mean, this is just a play of words, this is just semantics, and they are refusing to admit the obvious, which is that they have mishandled the whole situation. Now you look at the case of the woman who came in from Kalangut, from Mumbai. She has, you have a report in your paper, Times of India has a report, Herald has a report, everybody has reported it. She has ducked the screening at the border, and no one knows how she came, but I'm told she came in a private taxi, and she had some kind of connection to some minister, and she used that to come in without being screened. She tested positive, and she was taken to the hospital, GMC. Now, has she infected other people who examined
That
her?
is something that the contact tracing that the health department is currently doing
Yeah.
will tell us. But Devika, I am not surprised. Given the corrupt and nepotist system that we have
Exactly.
been living with
Yeah.
and
Forever.
for decades,
Forever.
something like this is bound to happen.
Yeah.
Given that situation,
Yeah.
I am a little surprised that the officialdom, the bureaucracy
Yeah.
or the health ministry
Yeah.
was of the opinion or of the view that local transmission will not happen.
Exactly. I mean, we are living under some kind of delusion.
Exactly.
That we are impervious to
No,
this. That the
it's
sun
a
is
virus.
protecting us.
It's a virus.
The sea is protecting us. The sand, what is it? I don't understand.
No,
I mean, it's a...
I mean, if the transmission hadn't happened on Tuesday, it
Yeah.
would happen in July.
Yeah.
It would happen in August.
Yeah.
It would happen in September. We can't escape it.
Exactly. And the other thing is now a decision is pending on whether Vasco should be locked down or not. And that will go around like a football for a few days till obviously things. But there is also the fear that this has moved to other very clustered zones, like the one in Margao.
Margao.
So there are two places in Margao, Moti Dongor residents take precaution and they go forward for a COVID test. Now, what is the kind of testing we have in place in Goa? How many tests can we do a day?
I'm afraid we don't have the kind of numbers that we need to have. The official claim is that we have a capacity of 2,000 tests a day.
Yeah.
It's not going to help.
Okay.
Okay, we not even double, we need to treble that.
Okay. But are we testing 2,000 cases a day? Are we testing? Shouldn't we be testing that many since we can?
Yesterday, the health secretary claimed that there were days where they went up to 1,850.
Okay.
Okay, that is one. But that's not enough. That's not enough because I will tell you, Devika, we are heading for very challenging times in these next few weeks when the rains come down.
That is absolutely the case.
What is going to happen with this first spell of rains and then the lull when it is going to be dry is when all these normal infections are going to come in.
Yeah.
Flus, dengue, malaria, and symptoms are common, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So if you go to the doctor, to your doctor or to the GMC or to the primary health center with a fever,
Yeah.
the doctor who's examining you is going to recommend you to the GMC for a test,
Yeah.
for a COVID test.
Yeah.
100% he has to.
Yes.
He has no other option.
Yes.
So that is the time you're going to have 4,000, 5,000 people queuing up at GMC for the tests.
Yeah.
What are you going to do then?
Yeah. So there was another thing that the chief minister said, which I found quite striking, and he said that, you know, there was this whole group of people who came back from Dubai and created a bit of a ruckus at the airport 2 days ago, overpaying that 2,000 and having to do the test. And then he said, see, they were making this fuss, and 2 of them have tested positive. Now, that's a rather odd statement coming from a chief minister when, you know, he should be concerned
These
about
are petty
absolutely
political
petty politics. And he also, again, says, don't play politics, is his statement. Don't play politics over COVID. Now, what exactly was he talking about when he said that?
I don't really understand what he's trying to say. I think it's basically these critical comments coming from opposition people.
Yeah. Asking for his resignation by the Goa Forward Party.
Yeah.
Of his resignation and the health minister for mishandling the whole crisis, etc. So maybe he's talking about that. But there was, so I was wondering, is it an actual political situation where people are asking for him to step down and somebody else?
I don't think there's any political situation,
Yeah.
but that spasm within the ruling party is there. Like there is a political personality clash between Sawant and Vishwajit.
Yes, that's
it's
true.
It's so evident.
Yeah.
I don't know whether it is a leadership race.
Yeah.
There's no evidence as of now that it's a leadership race.
Yeah.
But there is a personality clash between Vishwajit and Sawant. But apart from that, I don't see any political
No. Now,
action.
you know, there was this other thing that played out was the unhygienic paid quarantine facilities for seafarers. And, you know, they put out quite a few videos of it, and it was definitely unhygienic. And they were actually paying for this.
Devika, the truckers at the airport is related to this point.
Is related to this.
Yes. What is happening is they are made to cough up to 2,500 rupees per day for paid quarantine.
Yeah.
And they are not getting their money's worth.
Absolutely. I mean, look at the conditions of those hotels.
That's the problem in Goa.
Yeah.
If you go to the tourism belt in Kalangut, prices for anything are sky high.
Yeah.
And
but
what
in
you
these
get
times, when you know, when you have to be extra cautious about cleanliness, about, you know, not spreading the thing, how can they be so filthy as they were, by the way? And there were rats coming in and there were frogs coming in. One of them complained, and he had every reason to complain. So we are in this situation where we have a crisis, a pandemic, but we don't have the leadership capable of and then you had once again the statement from the chief minister that, you know, people have left and 80,000 workers have left.
Almost a lakh.
Almost a lakh
as
have
of
left.
Yesterday. 99,800 according to the revenue secretary who's in charge of it. So almost a lakh of people are gone.
So actually, where were they from predominantly? Which states had they come from?
Mostly from the north. Orissa, UP, there are some from
Bihar,
Bihar,
lots
West
of them
Bengal,
are from Bihar.
Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand.
So he's saying that Chief Minister Pramod Sawant is saying that now there will be a dearth of jobs in Goa. 10,000 jobs up for grab in industries. And then he quickly, you know, qualifies that statement by saying that they needn't do, you know, laborers' jobs, etc., but packaging industry, etc. So it's a good opportunity for Goans. But it is indeed a good opportunity, but the government must put in place some kind of, you know, agency or something to monitor this.
That's what they have done actually. If you see the story in our paper today, the Chief Minister yesterday, launched this effort of the employment exchange, where they would have 2 registers now. One register for the normal employment system, and another register to fill this void that is being created by the exodus of migrants. So people who are willing to take up jobs in the private sector will be on one register, and the people who are going to be registered for the normal government recruitment system will be on another register.
Okay, but I do hope actually that this really works, because today I was trying to pay my bill online, water bill, and it wasn't opening. The
There
Goa
are
online portal wasn't opening.
there are massive issues on the internet
Internet. I mean,
connectivity.
it has been going on for years and
Yeah,
years. Come on, and I mean, this is.
But that's something that Goa is going to face for a long time, basically because of its topography. You know, the telecom service providers are unable to beat these shadow areas with these hills and mountain ranges.
I see, but then doesn't Maharashtra have a similar topography?
Yeah, but
Maharashtra
then
has great internet.
Yeah, but then Maharashtra has, you know, cluster towns. It
Yeah.
has towns with habitation in a cluster, and then you have a blank space
Okay.
where you have these hills and this thing. So in that sense, Goa is a bit smaller.
Yeah.
But I don't know. The chief minister has set up a task force with the telecom providers on it to handle these connectivity problems. Hopefully it will be sorted out.
But I mean, we've given them years and years now. I don't know really. I having seen these politicians up close, I have absolutely no faith in them. But let's move on to a little better.
Devika, before we move on to another subject, this thing of, you know, this huge vacuum because of this exodus of migrant labor.
That's true.
Out. I don't think the local human resource is capable of filling that void.
Yeah.
Because the kind of work that these people do is not the kind of work that Goans normally do.
I know, exactly.
Okay. Number
Absolutely.
one, the only sector where I have seen some sort of success, where, you know, when it comes to taking in the local youth, is the pharma sector. I think pharma is one success story of the industrialization in Goa over the last couple of decades,
absolutely.
or 3 decades.
Yeah, yeah.
We have a few a handful of Goan companies, Goan-owned companies.
Yeah.
You have Glenmark.
Yeah.
You have Indigo.
Glenmark is Goa known.
Yes.
Okay. They're Glen and Mark.
The
I know, two
Saldanas,
brothers.
the Saldanas
Yes.
from Saligaon
Okay, right.
own that.
It's based in Goa. I didn't know
yes,
that.
it's got its major manufacturing
I see.
facility in TV.
Okay.
Kolwale, sorry.
Okay.
Then they have another company called Markson, another pharma company called Markson. Then you have the Kares from Margaon who have this Indigo Remedies, which is a listed company on the Bombay Stock Exchange.
Yeah.
And then you have the smaller players like the non-mining branch of the Salgaonkar family that runs Geno Pharmaceuticals in Mapsa. So basically pharma is the only sector where I think the Goans can fill the void.
Okay. So, you know, the other story I was just going to, it's related, it talks of some migrants who were to leave now feel that, you know, it would be better for them to stay back. And there is this citizens group that has sort of stepped in to create a labor directory to, again, online to help daily wages find work. So maybe something will work out.
Some solace for them.
Some solace for them. But an interesting story that I read in the Navin Times was how the lockdown is proving to be a blessing for farming. And I found you know, figures quite interesting. It talks about the coronavirus induced lockdown has proved to be a boon for agriculture in the state, as more Goans have been sort of literally compelled to move into farming, and the state sold about 750 kg of locally grown vegetables during the Rabi season 2019-20 until May, compared to 200 kgs in the corresponding months of the previous season. So obviously, actually, this has had some impact. Yeah. So, and then, you know, the agriculture director Neville Alfonso explained that we can see the difference from the new areas coming under cultivation. Now, there was another rather interesting story was about how many foreigners have actually opted to stay back.
back.
They find it safe in Goa now. I don't know, maybe in a few weeks they won't anymore find it safe. But the majority of them are British, and there is a handful of other people. Afghanis, obviously, I would think are students. There are some from Afghanistan, a few from Portugal. That is probably Goans with a Portuguese passport.
Yeah.
More likely. And most of them feel safer here in Goa, says Bosco George, the SP who's in charge of
foreigners,
the
yeah.
foreigners. And so, actually, is there anything else that we've missed over the past 1 week that
I
you...
think the state government has to come up with a strategy change
Yeah.
in handling this COVID.
Yeah.
Now that
Yeah.
local transmission and transmission within Goa is going to be the challenge.
Yeah, now there was another thing I wanted to bring up in this whole thing is that I think 2 or 3 constables have tested positive.
And a few health workers.
Health workers.
Yeah.
And so these people who are in the front line literally, because the constables are on duty. And the health workers are on duty. Those are the ones
Apparently, one of the family members of that first family in Mangor
Yes.
is a constable posted at the Kolwa police station.
I
So
see.
when he tested positive, the
Yes.
entire Kolwa police station
Were
sanitized itself, and
had to
all
be
the personnel
sanitized. Right.
went for a COVID test.
Yes. So, on that note, we have to leave you. We've run out of time. Thank you so much for watching, and do join us again next week. Goodbye.